Okay, now we're recording. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
to the republic which stands
one nation under God,
Sorry.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, I know. It's very clunky trying to do that on Zoom.
Especially when you forget to unmute.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm not, by the time you talk, you can't hear anybody anyways. Okay, I called the meeting to order with the pledge. I need an approval for the agenda. Do I have any additions, deletions, or changes?
Lynette, I have one. We originally on the original agenda had the line of credit tax anticipation, but when we took it off because we didn't have the bank documents on the amended agenda, but
Okay.
then since then I have received the bank docs, and those were in the packet, so I just need to put that back on the agenda.
Well, I just figured that was under finance anyway, so.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Can I
Are
have
we
a motion?
Oh, sorry. Are we talking about the snow quotes that we got, snow removal quote?
No, we're talking, you should have bank documents where we have a line of credit. And I think
no, I'm asking, didn't we also, was it this packet that we received some?
yes, that would be under, I believe, the principal's report.
Yes. Okay, so we'll discuss that then.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, may I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous. Teacher, staff, community comments, questions? Are there any out there? Go right ahead, Marcia.
Hi, Lynette. Good evening. I was just curious if or when there might be discussion. I'm speaking as a town resident on the second floor of the school building that we have, and I just was curious if there was going to be any discussion, if or when, with plans to do something with that.
Not yet. I know the discussion's out there, and there are there's some activity on it, but we have not discussed it as a board, and I don't know if the principals have had any input into it. So until I'm assured of that, but at some point it'll be brought up, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, it'll be on the agenda, you'll see it, but not tonight. Any more questions or comments? And if any of you see anybody raise their hand, let me know. Okay, we'll move on.
Deb's
Finance.
raised.
Whoop, I'm sorry, what?
No.
No. Okay, finance. Louis, you're on.
Good evening. So I have two items for tonight. The first one is the tax anticipation note for FY22. So each year we take out a tax anticipation note to provide cash flow to Rutland Town District while we're waiting for state funding.
Right.
So our fiscal year starts July 1st, but our first source of revenue doesn't come until we receive our first tax payments in September. And then throughout the year, we were also short on cash flow. So this is a common thing that every district takes out. So I did, for the last few years, we've stayed with our current banking institution, which is People's Bank, for a proposal, just because it does make the draws and the paybacks so much easier just to use your current bank. And a lot of the banks do require that you do move your banking to them in order for them to provide you a quote. And we do use People's for the whole SU, which makes it a lot easier to manage our cash finances. So the proposal for Rutland Town was in the packet. There was two documents. There was one which was the proposal document, and then the other one which is the actual documents for the loan. So for the proposal document, Rutland Town is listed on page 2. The proposal is a line of credit for $1,799,000 with an interest rate of 1.65%. And just for comparison purposes, compared to last year, last year's rate was 1.93%. So this is a decrease of approximately 0.3%. And the loan was 1.7 million. So it's about $99,000 more than last year. So my recommendation would be to approve this line of credit.
Can we make that motion to approve that line of credit?
Lynette, you're on mute.
Okay. Do you know how long we had it last year? I know we usually pay it off early. It's not like we have it for the whole year, but.
Yep. So we take it out July 1st. We take the first draw. So we're currently have one right now, and we'll pay that off as soon as we receive the last. So the way I try to minimize how much we're using. So
right.
We get payments from the treasurer periodically throughout the year. So I'll take some July 1st, and then when I get that first payment, I'll pay some of it down so that we don't have as much outstanding. And then we'll have to take some more additional funds as we get further on in the year. And then I'll pay some more down after we get the next payment from the treasurer. Right now, we're waiting for our final payment from the treasurer. And as soon as I get that, we'll pay this down, which should be in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, great. Okay, yeah, now I would look for a motion if I could.
I'd like to make the motion to get the line of credit, 1.799.
Okay, so 1,799,000, and that is at a 1.65%. Yeah, and that's from People's Bank. Do I have any more? Oh, sorry about that. Do I have any more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, moving on. What do you else
Okay,
got?
so over the next couple of weeks, I'll be reaching out to each of you to get your signature for the document.
Yep, no problem.
Okay. So the next piece is the anticipated year-end budget forecast, which was included in the packet. There's a one-page summary and then the financials attached to it. So currently, I'm estimating that we're going to end the year with a surplus of $243,000.
Okay.
This is due to a number of reasons, and I'll give you all the details at year end. But the large things are we had some savings because of COVID. A lot of things aren't happening because of that. We had a lot of grant funding that we utilized this year with CRF funds at the beginning of the year, and now ESSER now for school-based subs, for Kelly subs, cleaning supplies, nursing supplies. So those resulted in us not spending down our local budget. Technology supplies is another big one. So those are resulting in savings. The other thing is tuition is also down, and that's resulting in additional savings. Secondary tuition, that is.
Right. Okay. Can I ask, Louis, I'll in executive session, I'll fill the rest of the board in on this issue, but those 3 students that we will probably have to pay tuition for this year, is that included in this?
I do have contingencies in this included for that situation. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. And the rest of the board, it's not a secret, but I'll fill you in an executive session with that. It's a lawsuit that's been going for quite a while now. Okay. Thank you, Louis. Anybody have any questions for Louis?
The one other thing, so I'll just add a couple things on that just quickly. So this does take into account a number of assumptions. The biggest one is that, so we cut off the PO deadline on April 16th. It's the same time approximately every year. So this is assuming that we only pay new expenses based on existing POs. So anything that's approved in addition to those POs would reduce this. But it should not have a significant impact. The other thing that still will play into this as well is the special ed disallow that we'll look at the year end. And we know those disallows are a little bit higher this year, mainly due to COVID, where we have staff members doing extra duties before, during, and after school for temperature checks, staggered start times and end times. And so those are resulting in special ed staff doing more general ed type work.
Right.
So we're still working on those details, but that will lower the surplus. It shouldn't have a significant impact. It'll have a large amount maybe for the issue as a total, but it shouldn't make a large impact to this surplus.
Okay. Will we have a better figure, you think, at next meeting? The end of June?
We should have a better number by next meeting, yes.
Okay, great. Anyone have any questions for Lewis? Okay. Anything else, Lewis?
That's all I have for tonight.
It's an awful lot of paperwork for just that short 10 minutes.
I can talk longer if you want me to.
No, that's okay. Thanks. Okay, we'll go to the consent agenda, director's orders. There were 3. They were all emailed to you. I did sign them. Anyone have any questions on those? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Thank you, Tina. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I only
I,
heard one- Okay, thanks. I only heard
All
one
right.
aye. Thanks.
that mute button.
Okay. Or just, I should say, just wave your hand or thumbs up. Okay, approval of the minutes of April 30th. The one blaring one I saw is, I'm not sure, Chris, but at the very first line where it says board members present, it looks like they have Vice Chair Clerk Russ. It should be Tina. So I just want to make sure that that is
Yep,
fixed.
I'll get that changed.
Thank you. Anyone catch anything else in there, Tina? You're usually the one that's the best at this. Go ahead. You're muted.
I know. Sorry, I was trying to get back to having this on the computer and having all these windows open. Sometimes I have to go underneath to find the meet again.
Yeah.
There were several just not quite correct statements. I think at the end of the day, it was mostly fine. But there were some details that weren't quite right. And I didn't print it out, so I don't have the specific. I know one of them was a discussion I had. Let's see if I can find it here.
I mean, we can put these off to next meeting if you want, and then.
I mean, like I said, it's not quite 100% wrong. It just wasn't exactly all the right details. So I don't know how much that matters. I don't think it's a huge deal. It just wasn't 100% accurate.
Well, if it's not 100% accurate, we should make those corrections, Tina.
Correct.
So I know that Shauna does not do verbatim. She captures like the essence of the meaning. But if you feel that anything you said has been misrepresented or has been omitted, you definitely should include that into the minutes, please.
Okay.
Also, Tina, in the future, if you'd like to have this printed and you can pick them up, we can make the packet for you ahead of time. If you'd like it, just let me know and we can do that for you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
So it's up to you, Tina. If I don't know how many there are, if it's easier, we can go through them and then vote on them next meeting.
I think yeah, it'll probably take me a minute to find it. I can maybe bring it up at the end if I find it.
Okay.
We'll
go ahead. Okay, we'll go ahead and just set that aside for now and come back to the minutes.
I'll print this out and maybe that'll make it easier. I can pay attention.
Okay. Superintendent's report.
Okay. Thanks, Lynette. I guess that, respect for your time. There are a couple items on here that I won't necessarily go through. I'll just, let you read through that. I do want to kind of move right to the education recovery plan update. We have, last week we had submitted, or a week and a half ago, we submitted our phase 1. And as we reviewed with you, phase 1 basically is the initial needs assessment in which we identified or working with our 3 major areas, the academic recovery, engagement truancy, and social emotional learning and wellness. We received word late last week that the phase 1 has been approved, which is a good thing, which then moves us into the phases 2 and 3, which are kind of like moving to the action steps. So now the data we collected, some of our findings that we're taking a look at, we now are going to start working on actionable steps to correct these, to make some improvements to address some of the issues that we've identified. So it's something which the Recovery Planning Committee and the 3 subcommittees, I think there are close to 60 people in all, will be working on this over the next couple weeks, and by June 1st we'll have this submitted. At the next board meeting we'll have a formal presentation of the plan for you. Lisa and I will have that, and Lisa, who is the coordinator, will have more details, and she's also here tonight. So if there are some specific questions you may have, she can address those. But I do want to thank the individuals, those 60-some individuals who put in a lot of work over the past to get us through this first phase. But phases 2 and 3 are kind of the critical parts, because, like I said, we move into the actual strategies and steps for the remainder of this year as well as next year. All right. So like I said, the draft is due on June 1st, and hopefully, like I said, things will go well, and we'll have a final approval on that. We also want to just talk about the Governor Scott's Vermont Forward Plan. Really kind of set the path for graduation, end of year activities. We have received guidance from the AOE. I know when we met last month, we said we were waiting on that. Nothing too drastic has changed. I think it was more in terms of like for high school. I think the big question was about proms and end of year dances, that they will be allowed. Obviously, with certain guidance and restrictions being followed. Sarah and Debbie have been working with the other building principals on planning and graduation and end of year activities that do fall in line with the AOE's guidance, as well as Governor Scott's Vermont Forward Plan. So I think a little bit later on tonight, they can talk about their graduation plans as well as the end of year activities. But so there's nothing too drastic or changing as this point it's going to alter our plans. We do look forward to having a nice graduation and end of year activities for our kids along those same lines. In our call last week, Dan French, Dan did confirm his intent as well as ours for next school year to be fully back in person. We'll be back to in-person learning, particularly with the attendance days will be, counted as in-person learning days. So we do know that there are some individuals who may feel strongly about the safety of schools, but the state will be working with those families and individuals. But for Rutland Town School and the other schools within our GSU, our plan is to return back to in-person learning there. So just want to kind of give you a heads up on that. The last day of school, which we kind of touched upon for students, is June 15th. That's, the calendar has stayed the same. So, just have a couple more weeks to go for our kids and for our staff before they can relax for the summer and kind of regroup and get ready for next year. Speaking of summer, I know Sarah and Debbie and the other schools within the SU are working on some summer programming, some enrichment programs. So as those plans start to kind of formalize, Debbie and Sarah and, the SU administrators will be releasing some of that information for families. And the last thing is just about summer meals. I just want to mention this, that summer meals will still be available for any interested family. Just if you would like a summer meal, just reach out to Debbie or Sarah. Thanks.
Awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Chris? Okay. We'll go ahead and move along. Co-principals.
Good evening, everyone. So as you can see in our co-principals report, we wanted to congratulate Ren Dayton, who was recognized 4th grader as Student of the Month. We have a picture there of some kindergarten student learning about seeds. As we talked at the last board meeting, we are planning a graduation that will be outside. The tent has been reserved, which is exciting. We are going to hold summer school as we have in the past in person, which we're really excited about. So students will attend, it's 5 days a week for 3 weeks. SBAC and MAP testing are continuing to go. So we've had a lot of assessments this month, and we have makeup for SBACs that will continue into next week. We started back in-person learning on last Wednesday. There's a picture here on the bottom right of a preschool student enjoying Glow Day in the library. 4th grade teachers are getting ready for a science fair. We will do that outside this year. And we are beginning to plan for all of our end of the year activities following the COVID guidelines.
In terms of building matters, we have attached 2 bids for plowing for next year. And we'd like you to your approval on one of those so we can get going on that and have that in place for next year. We've also sprayed out back for ticks, and we overseeded the field as well, so we should be in good shape. We also attached the kitchen inspection from the health department. We received a 97 out of 100, which is a very good score. And there's a picture there of our new scoreboard, which has been installed and already is in use, and we're very excited about that. The kids and the families really love it. For our upcoming dates, there's an error on there. I apologize. Memorial Day is May 31st, not May 24th. And graduation is June 14th, and our last student day is the 15th. Lynette, you're on mute.
You know, I try to mute it so we don't get the echo. Hey, at least I've got it down to one motion and no seconds. I'll get this down pat too by the time we're not on it anymore. Okay, we need to discuss the snow plowing bid. Kurt Hathaway has been doing it for the last 2 winters. And this year he wants to, for next year, he wants to go up to 14,000. That is, he comes and I really don't know if there's a timeline or a list made of when he actually comes and plows, salts, sands. It used to be per hour, and then they switched it around. Now we do have extremely competitive bid from Carpenter and Costin. I'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Deb, is this going to be addressed to you if there's any questions?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Deb on the snow plowing bids?
Yes. Is there a spec sheet on what is expected of the contractor?
At this point, I'm not sure, Jeff. I know that Kelly spoke to both of these folks about what the requirements were. I don't know if there's an actual spec sheet.
Well,
yeah, I know that it should be done, especially on days we're in school, by school opening, by the time the buses and people start dropping off students. Personally, I've not gone up and checked on the past couple of years. Typically I do, and it's my own reasoning behind that. But,
I just think that it would be better for the school if we had a spec sheet, a group of specs that the contractor is to follow. You know, in years past, Lynette, when we had the Quirk brothers, they just did it. There was no out to bid, and they just came and did it. The last couple of years has been a lot of damage to the property. So
right, and that's been addressed, and compensation is being looked for that.
Right. I just you know, it would be much better if there was a something that expectations that the school has.
Right. I believe there are, and I will ask Kelly and see, Deb, if you can get him to forward that to the other board members.
Certainly.
I believe there is, Jeff.
Okay. Well, I would, you know, because Kurt's is more of a message back and forth to Kelly. And then the fact that we have a board member bidding on it, I really think we need to table this. And I'd like to talk to maybe the town to see if the town would be willing to take over doing the plowing here at the school.
Well, they are not interested in it. That's why Quirk Scott did it year after year. We opened it up for other people, and no one bid. This bidding process for the last 2 years was not brought to the board, was approved before the board even knew it had gone out to bid. So like you, I had some major concerns, but I kept my nose out of it because it was too late. And as far as having, yes, I know a board member, but he is not here. He has nothing to do with this. And if you read the conditions of which he has outlined there, it seems as though Carpenter and Costin covers it. The other bidder just said the price was going to go up $2,000. It is not less expensive. Last time I spoke with the town, having the town crew do it. Number one, their units, their trucks and everything are much bigger. They have a harder time doing it. They can't get to the areas. And that's back when we used to do some of the stuff ourselves. But I know I was told that there are specs out there. Like I said, personally did not look at them because the board was not included. The bid 2 years ago was done without board knowledge. I
just would like to maybe table this and take a little bit more time with this, because I just don't feel comfortable with the bids that we have. Maybe it should go back out the bid.
I guess, well,
or have a conversation.
I will table this and I will bring it up. I will have a one-on-one discussion with you about this, Jeff.
Sure.
Okay. And board members, any other board members have any questions or comments on this?
I had a question.
Yep.
In the Carpenter and Costin one, there is no mention of what their hourly service fee is.
Right.
If they have to be called back, which if it snows in the middle of the day and they come and there's cars there, they will have to come back. Right. So I'm curious, like what we would be responsible for and how that would kind of.
They typically, that should be in the specs. It doesn't matter if it snows all day. If it's within a certain number of inches or whatever, they do come back throughout the day. This is the new bid specs that went out that the board did not know about. They went from an hourly rate to this set rate. The one contractor wants $14,000 a winter, regardless of how many times he does it. And basically the same with Carpenter and Costin. This has got to be, actually, I cannot table this tonight. Carpenter and Costin's is only good for 10 days, and we will not meet again until June 28th. So I would like, we can always do a motion and then have it contingent upon you guys getting the specs. Again, I did not know we went out to bid again, and we may not have. The second bidder may have just, I have no idea. Do you know, Deb?
Yeah, when the other bid came back, well, the other one said the price was going up. We said, well, then we're going to ask around. And that's how we end up with second bid. And okay. Kelly called other folks too who did not give us
that. And that's what usually happens. It's really hard for a snow plowing company to tie up themselves with a school because, like you said, it could be an on and off thing all day long. And of course, they have so many other clients.
Has Carpenter and Costin done any of our snow removal before?
No, they have done our lawn care. And I can't tell you about the last bidding process. We were not, like I said, it supposedly went out to bid. We supposedly got bids. It was given to this person. The contract was signed before the board ever knew. So I have no idea if they bid last time. I don't know who bid last time. It was not done appropriately, but the board approved it. So there wasn't much to be said. So
the other thing that really bothers me about the Carpenter and Costin is how long the contract is, because we don't actually know how they are. And that's, 4 seasons, right? Or 5. I don't know. It's just, it seems like a much better deal when you compare it to what Kurt suggested, but Kurt's doesn't have a whole lot of information, and there's some information missing from Carpenter and Costin, plus a pretty long contract that I'm not really sure that we'll be happy with their service. They might ruin a lot of our property, Yep. I'm not saying they will, but
right.
Well,
and it does say on there, and I'm let's bring this up in executive session, discuss it further. There's things I want to say and I can't say because of
Me too.
confidentiality.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, it seems like we're delaying everything tonight. Deb, anything
I
else?
was just gonna say, I'm fine with the minutes if they want to be approved and you can get that off your list. It was a nuanced thing besides what you mentioned, so it's not a big deal.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of April 20th as corrected?
I
I'll
make
make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have to learn to look at the screen. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Contract recommendations. What do you have, Chris?
We have there should be a sheet that you received earlier with professional staff, support staff, and then the non-union, non-admin and supervisor contracts for consideration, which we will need to discuss in executive session if there's to be a pay increase.
Right.
And then we should have the vacancies, then we should have that one resignation.
Okay. So going to the resignation that we received tonight, do I have a motion on Sean Lenahan?
I make a motion to approve Sean Lenahan, or accept Sean Lenahan's resignation.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Reluctantly.
Okay. And we will, if you want to set aside the contract recommendations, we could nitpick it. There's only 2 on here that are going to be discussed in executive session. We could probably get those out of the way if you'd like. Under professional staff, there's nothing there that will be discussed in executive session. We have Christina Murphy and Teresa Sunderland. Do I have any motion on those?
I make a motion to accept.
Any discussion? All in favor of those?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Shauna Chamberlain, you might remember this one being on last meeting's list and was approved at $25 an hour. It came back because that was a misprint. Her raise brings her to $25.50. Do I have a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Thank you, Billy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, non-union, non-admin supervisor contracts. We already did Shauna. Michael Rowe.
Lynette, I would advise maybe just talk about all these as a group.
Okay.
And then we can make one motion for the whole group coming
Okay.
out.
Okay, great.
Okay.
How about we go to extracurricular, which is softball coach Julia May for $1,000.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Thank you, Billy. Anyone have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, and we'll save the rest for executive session on that. Vacancies, I know, Chris, that we're still looking for a special educator. What else are we looking for?
Science teacher now. And I think Debbie and Sarah, anything else? I think it's just those 2 positions.
Okay. So if you're out there and about, just let the word go out. I know that it's been on Facebook for the special educator quite a few times. I know this is going to be a hard year to find any replacement, so hopefully.
Are we still good on para educators, or are we also looking for some of those?
Deb or Sarah?
I think we're good on that for now.
Yes.
That's always subject to change the whole year.
Yeah.
We project that we will need some based on student need for next year. We have, as always, quite a few moving in, which is great.
Okay. All right. So I'm sure that we've got that out there too then. Hopefully being back in person next year will help with the situation of finding subs and people to fill in.
Lynette,
Yes, ma'am.
did we finish with the principal's report? Because I know that we went to exec for the snowplow, but there was also some type of report card for the food management. And
Yeah, she mentioned that, only that we got 97 out of 100, which is really, really good. But that was the extent of the report.
and then there was a transportation cost. Are we discussing that later, or
Is that on the?
it was on
Just
the
wanted to-
report?
That's
Okay.
We didn't include it on the principal's report. Our apologies. I just included the last meeting, Lynette, you had shared that you would like a price sheet on transportation for sports, for athletics.
Right.
So we just had a one sheet, and this is for, as Mike would Rose say, dump and run.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's not transportation home back to the school. It's just to the games.
Okay. Yeah, that's something that I wanted to discuss. It's nothing that's going to affect next year, Tina, unless we, we possibly could in the future bring that up for next year. Typically, something like that, it wasn't that big. What was it, 5,000 altogether? Something like that. That's something that, if the budget allowed us to, the board may want to consider it. Like I said, that's a one-way only, so the students would be responsible, and we'll discuss this more if it's something you're interested in. The students would be responsible to find a ride back home, which worries me a little bit. But so we had at one point last year brought this up, and Tina, I know you were asking about the transportation. This was not included in that. There are parents, and I understand, especially when they have kids get out of school at 3 and they have an early game, they have to be somewhere at 4:30. They have a hard time getting out of work to transport their child. So I thought it would be a good idea to at least see how much it would cost us to be able to run a service. So if you were thinking of running it both ways, it would be double, plus I'm sure whoever drives the bus is going to get paid while they're sitting there waiting. So I would say it's probably 2.5 times what we have there if we were going to do it both ways. But we can discuss that at a later date. Thank you for getting that for us, Sarah. And I'll start putting that on as a topic. I know that it would be most of the parents all say they just want assistance in getting their child to the games, that they will attend and bring their child home. And my problem with that is, how do we know who's going both ways? Are we going to have a bus sitting at a other school and coming back empty at the end of the game? So we need to find out where our liability runs there. If we're at a game and all of a sudden we have a student that doesn't have a ride home, what do we do? The bus is gone. So I don't know what our liability would be that. So that would be a bigger discussion maybe for another meeting. And we have all summer to discuss this. And if we can financially afford it, depending on what option we go to, we can look at the budget at that time.
Is there any way we could do a survey?
A survey of what?
To the parents, what would help them the most?
Well, that is what they are. It's the parents are the ones that brought this up to begin with.
Right.
And I think it's going to have even more parents when things all open up, because you're going to have more and more parents back to work.
Right.
So when we had brought it up for a quick discussion, the parents all wanted their children transported to the game so they wouldn't have to get out of work early. But then they demanded that they be allowed to take their child home with them, stop for food, whatever. And my concern was, if we leave it open, we don't know. We may go with 15 children. We may only come back with 1 or none. So we don't know really on the planning stage of how that goes. Now, if we hired them and saying, you're going to go sit, wait, and come back, we're going to pay the big bucks and may not have any students on board. But I don't want a student being stuck there with no ride home. I know parents are really good about grabbing someone else's child and transporting them. So that's just something, I mean, we could do a survey, but the majority of parents of children in sports all want this.
I think we should proceed with a survey just as a formality and definitely have this discussion, because in a year where we've asked parents to take so much time off because of COVID, like that would be a nice thing to look forward to next year, especially for athletes.
Well, if we could, nothing's promising that we can do it next year because it's
Right.
not in the budget. But Deb, Sarah, if you want to put a survey together, I realize we will not bring this back up before July, August, because we have too much stuff to do at the end of the year. And then maybe we could at least, you know, whether it's through email or however you want to do it, just get a consensus. Let us know how the percentage of athletes and their families would like to see this.
I think it would be great to have that information. And I think specifically the question of if your child is bused to the game, how likely are you to take them home yourself or have them ride the bus? Because I think that would really help us with our planning.
Oh, it's huge because you go from 5,000 to what, 750, 8,000 if we have to have the bus there to bring children back home. So, and parents were very adamant that they would, you know, a lot of them that I talked to, they will bring their own child home. It just makes planning very difficult for us and with the bus and the bus driver.
But it also allows access to students that want to play that don't have rides both ways. And
right.
I know that my kids have had classmates that missed games solely because they had no transportation.
Yep.
And their parent didn't have a great connection with other parents and didn't reach out, even though many parents would have been happy to bring their child. So
right.
knowing that there's a bus that they can take to and from would definitely open up access and availability for those kids to play sports and not feel like they can't. You know, even, you know, parents that work in the restaurant business where both parents are there, their kids have a lot of trouble. You know, their parents are super hardworking, but they just can't leave because they serve dinner every night at a restaurant.
Right.
Their kids can't play games. If there were a bus to and from, they'd have that option. So
definitely.
I agree
Definitely.
that it's super important, and sending out that survey, letting parents know that we are listening to them and caring about them, I think will help, and bringing this discussion up as soon as we can would be great.
Yep. Sarah?
I just want to give kudos to our students because it was actually students that brought this up last year, and they wanted me to bring it up to the school board, and I encouraged them to come to a board meeting and ask for it. But Tina, it was exactly that. They named some kids whose parents just were, you know, had a lot of pride and they didn't want to ask. So they were, you know, standing up for their teammates saying, this isn't fair. We want to make sure our friends have a ride to and from games. And I want to include Mike Rowe in this conversation as well. Right. You know, for sure, as the athletic director. So thank you. I love the idea of a survey, and I'm sure we'll get some good feedback.
And we do need this, if for no other reason, to find out how many students we're talking about. Do we need a little bus? Do we need the big bus? What we actually need. It's like I said, I just didn't anticipate looking at this early or late this year, early next year. And like we'll know next meeting how our budget is ending, how it looks. And next meeting, we could actually make some decisions. So yeah, maybe if we could get that survey back before then, because if we do have a surplus, we can always plan ahead. Whereas after July 1st, we can't. It's a done deal. So we would have to wait and see how our budget next year goes. So
that sounds great.
Okay. Any other discussion? So we'll table this until next meeting. I'll put that under the agenda. Okay. My discussion is going to be held in executive session. Is that the way we should do this, Chris, or do you want me just to do it now? That's on the lawsuit.
I think we can give a broad, but I think, see, it's still pending and there are some other issues with regard to it. I think we just have to be very careful with how we proceed. I mean, I think people have seen newspapers, obviously, with the Valente case and some recent decisions, but there are also some other parts that are still pending for us that we can't comment on as right now.
Okay. So without using names, we have a couple lawsuits that were brought, and they're brought by parents for students that are attending a high school that is not currently being paid for. Where we're running into trouble, and we've been going through this for, oh my God, months. What happens is the Board of Education will not get involved. They keep throwing it back at the school boards, local school boards, to make a decision. The bottom line is state law says that school boards may not pay tuition to a religious affiliated high school. So we have never paid for high schools that are religiously affiliated. That was a suit was brought by a couple different parents, and it's been working its way through. The judges say yes, the school board can pay. The state says no, they won't give us permission. They won't look at changing the law. The judge says, well, you have to look at what the tuition is, and for instance, say it's $10,000 a year to attend this school. What percentage of that is religious? So if 2% of their daily classroom, their education, their curriculum, is that religious, then we will only pay 98% of the tuition. And how do we break that out when it's so ingrained in their courses? And so we're in that dilemma right now. One is saying, no, just pay it. One saying, no, you can't pay it. One saying you can pay it if you find out what's going on. And this is throughout Vermont. It's not just us. There are quite a few up north that are going through the same process. So that's why tonight when I asked Lewis if he had put in the cushion in case we do pay, and it's like, I think we're talking, what, 3 students, Chris? So it's not a huge amount, but, and it isn't retroactive. Nobody that has paid in the past can come forward. Nobody that is present can come forward. It's, so it's just, and I'll leave it there. Okay. We'll go into it more once we get a decision by someone that wants to make a true decision on this. Does everybody kind of understand where I'm coming from? Billy? Jeff? Jeff, you're in the dark. All I see is a dark blob. There you go.
Really?
That was good for a second.
Sorry.
Okay. So I won't discuss
I got
that
it.
in executive session, but that was one of the things that I wanted to bring up tonight, because it's been going on so long. The board, I don't want you to think I'm keeping secrets from the board, but there was nowhere to go with it. You know, it kept flopping back and forth. And it's nothing new. I think what state did it start in, Chris?
It was out west. The Espinoza case.
Yep. So, and I know it has been in the papers and stuff like that, but we'll see how it goes. So that's all I had. Policies, we have 2. Title I came back, H5. Tina, did you get a chance to look at it? It's okay with you now?
Yes, it's better.
You bring up a very legitimate.
I did have a question about it.
Yep.
Yes, and Tina, I've asked Lisa Madison, who handles our title grants, to attend tonight to better answer some of your questions, if that's okay.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. So I was looking it up, and it looks like there are 90% of the schools in Rutland County are Title I schools. And it sounds like Rutland Town, has a lower percentage of Title I students, maybe closer to 20%. But my question is, a lot of what that policy is trying to do is to get parents involved and try to get parents to help their kids succeed and get on the same plan with the school and the educators, and also to give them the training that they need, and also a voice about, you know, how things are going and what their perspective is, which I think is wonderful. I guess my question is this policy only for Title I families, or is this something that will be open to our whole school community?
Yeah, our intention is to implement it consistently across Greater Rutland County Supervisory Union. There are a few reasons for that. One, parent engagement and involvement is important. We want it happening in all of our schools, and making that a consistent policy and procedure, you know, across schools can help to ensure that we have those pieces in place that everyone has access to. And the second reason is that, you know, status can change over time. So currently Rutland Town doesn't qualify, but we have schools that kind of go in and out of qualification for Title I status over time. And we just want to, why prevent ourselves from seamlessly making that transition if it's needed, and having to go through policy and procedural work in the short term to access grant funding. It's just kind of a silly thing. So yeah, so we intend to include that for everyone. We're working on updating and consolidating our student handbooks so that our schools have consistent student handbooks across the schools. And we're planning on the compact and the policy becoming part of those documents for all GRCSU schools at this time.
Great, thanks.
That answer your questions, Tina?
Well, yeah, I think the beginning of it was just that it had some cut and paste last meeting that didn't really make sense. So it's kind of hard to approve it as was.
Yeah.
As was. But, you know, after really thoroughly reading through it again, I just, you know, was curious if it was, I know that we haven't implemented it as fully as we would have liked to in the past. And I think recently it's been really difficult with COVID and everything else that's on everyone's shoulders, educationally wise. So I totally kind of get why we haven't maybe met those standards quite yet, but I'm excited to see how we are going to meet them, because I do think it helps the school be better and everyone's engaged. So
yep, definitely. Okay, and F4, okay, let's stay at Title I, H5. Do I have a motion to approve H5 as presented?
Make a motion to approve H5 as presented.
Thank you, Billy. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so that one was the second read, and now it's policy. I believe the GRCSU board also approved that policy at their meeting. You have a new one. It will be F4, education records. This is for the first reading. Did anybody have any questions on it? That's pretty light. Did you make any changes to this, Chris, this time around from our old policy?
No.
Okay.
The two that need to be changed are going back to the committee before coming before the board.
Okay, great. Any questions? Okay, that's the first read. That'll come back next meeting for the second read and approval. If you find any questions or have any questions, if you want to get hold of Chris, and he can bring it before the committee and get them changed before the next meeting. Okay, old business, graduation, end of year activities. Who wants to take it?
So not much more to report. We're in the process of planning graduation, and it's going to be outside, and we have a tent reserved.
Okay.
So we're asking people to bring their own chairs, and we should have plenty of room for people to bring, you know, for all relatives to attend.
Okay, masks are mandatory, right?
That just changed for when outside with spectators at sporting events. If you're with your pod, you don't have to wear a mask.
So Lynette's, real quick, because I addressed at the Corey Valley. Sorry, Sarah. Just
okay. No, it's okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Sarah. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you go. You go.
All right, we're fighting over who gets to talk. That's the first. No, I think you're right, Sarah. The athletic events kind of change things, but the biggest thing is by that time we'll be in step 3. And if you are seated within your family pod or your unit, masks will not need to be worn if people who are outside of that group are at least 6 feet away. If you are going to just say have everybody sit together, then you are going to have to wear masks. So that's the distinction. And I think that's all the building administrators are really looking at how best to handle the seating there. So, there's another key aspect to this that we're still working through. It's the self-attestation in terms of who is vaccinated, who's unvaccinated. And we're currently working with the other superintendents within the region in terms of what a document might look like just for that, for parents. But number-wise, I think we have 900 plus any number of unvaccinated individuals. So we should have more than enough space.
Right. And the logistics involved in that, we don't meet until after, of course, graduation, just concern me a little bit. I assume that Sarah or Deb, you've talked to the health officer and got their input. Chris, whoever.
So we follow the guidance of the AOE and Department of Health. And so we receive regular updates. We're in constant contact with the Nursing Association who provides updated information for us. So when we set our plans, the plans are in accordance with all the guidelines and restrictions and regulations, just as we've been doing all year. So
right.
we're not going to go rogue with the last
okay. No, I understand that. My concern, like I said, is I know that we always do the best we can and go by the recommendations, but there is you have to take, I guess, people at face value. Okay, this is all my family. Well, looking at them, you're all going to know whether they're family or not, and who's going to say, no, you have to separate, because you really aren't all family. We can't ask about vaccines, prove you have it or don't have it. The police will not enforce this. They will not go around and ask people. It's not their job. While they plan on being up there to make sure everything goes smooth and parking and everything else. Because last time when I asked, it was, well, the police will be there. They'll do it. No, they will not. That's not their job. They haven't done it outside of the school at any of the plazas or stores. They're not going to do that. I'm concerned, and this is just me individually. I think it's a wonderful thing. While we have a tent, the tent, I believe, is for the students, correct? Okay. So if it's inclement weather, now you're going to have a bunch of people sitting on the lawn, bringing their own chairs and umbrellas. And while we think it's nice and everybody's going to be able to see, literally they wouldn't be able to. I've been asked these different questions and I don't know what the answer. I don't know if there is an answer. And like I said, I'm a little concerned about the older individuals when they come to see their grandsons or granddaughters graduate. It would be nice if it was, basically family that attends. I'd hate to think that a neighbor just went because they want to watch it, but they're taking a spot of good, clear sight away from someone's child. I don't know.
Lynette, those are all very valid points. I think we're addressing those at all the other schools as well. I know that the Corey Valley has elected to go with a ticket system and that only ticketed individuals will be allowed on site. So therefore a family member would get, say, 10 tickets. That's just what they had selected for the high school group, but then just ticket individuals will not be allowed in. So, the family opts to hand out their 5, 10, whatever tickets to, that group would sit together, but no one who did not have a ticket would not be allowed in. So that's what we try to do, preventing the external. Now, some of the sites, obviously there are fences and things outside, but there's only so much we can do. We are asking, just as we have all year, just, for our families just to, to work with us, to understand, to respect that, there is guidance that is in place, that there are certain regulations that we have to abide by, that the AOE and the Department of Health are restricting us to these things. So as we ask people, to make certain accommodations or to, sit a certain way, that people just understand and respect that, because like I said, we want to try to have a nice ceremony for all of our kids. That's the ultimate goal. I know a lot of our buildings or schools have set rain dates, just so that, want to try to have a nice day as possible. So that's something Debbie and Sarah can obviously work with families and make a decision on that. But I do know that, like I said, I have seen Proctor parents and West Rutland parents sit out the rain for a baseball or for a soccer game, but graduation is always a little bit different. So,
Yep. And I most certainly want everybody to be able to attend. It's a celebration. It's a great event. I don't know. I just kind of feel sorry for some of the people that may go and may not actually. Not that the gymnasium was great, because you'd be so far back you wouldn't see your child, but they would come up and take a picture. So I'm not naysaying this at all. These questions are coming up from different people to me. And I just want to make sure that, it goes as smooth as it can. Laura, do you have any questions for the for the principals on this?
I just, like I had talked with Mike the last meeting, I just think maybe we should, your concern of, how many people being there and being clustered together. If we do, like we do the high school, Chris just mentioned with the high schools, where we limit the amount of tickets, pick a number, 6 or 8, and that's it, and not have, I think people will be very respectful of this. And I've talked to some parents that their children are graduating, and they said, "Oh, we just want to make sure grandma and grandpa can go," and that kind of stuff, because they've had a big impact in those 8-9 years. And it's be just we're going to have a party afterwards at our home. So maybe if we just limit, if we know how many kids, we know how many tickets that we can give out, and say 6, and then we're anticipating that many people show up. And so, we can kind of plan for that amount of people.
I mean, even 10, you're right, even 10 is not going to put us anywhere near the limit, but that should include, I would think, most of your family members. Don't
forget, we're also going to live stream it, right?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yeah, and as long as we advertise that and let the people know that, hey, you can watch this, in your living room. I mean, that's really a neat idea. So I just, the graduation thing is just amazing. So
it is.
It's just the fact that, we're trying to make it safe, and, we want the public to know that we're concerned to make it safe. And you bring up all the great points, Lynette, about that. So, I just think we should really look at the limiting the number of tickets or number of people.
Yep. Okay. Sarah and Deb, when you get it all straightened out, if you'll just send us an email outlining it, because it's going to be over by the time we meet again. And then we'll at least have answers for people on some of them. It's a no-win situation, because even if you limit it, they're going to say, well, I've got 20 or whatever. So just run it by, or just let us know what you've decided. We're not going to change anything that you've decided. These are just questions for the public. Anything else? Okay. What do we need for solar repairs?
Who's talking about that?
Deb?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, the last time Kelly had included in the packet the report from Same Son, who came and looked everything over with him and gave us a report on work that needed to be done. And what we've decided to do is we're going to start with having the repairs made and getting everything up to snuff, making sure it's all working. And we'll do that on July 1st, so that it goes into the next budget cycle. And then from there, once we see how it's working, then we'll make a decision on whether we take their advice on other improvements that we can make to the system. First things first.
Have we put this out to bid? There's a reason behind this, but
no, I don't know that we have. We just had them come and we knew it wasn't working properly, that it had some errors, some things that weren't working right, and we wanted to make sure that it was repaired. That was our initial, and they gave us other information about it. Our original was just to have the repairs done.
Okay, did we go to the company that installed it?
I believe it was installed by Peck Electric.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think so. We've
Okay,
had trouble getting them to be responsive to us in the past.
Okay, let's see if we can. And I can mention this further in executive session, but I'll leave that there. Any questions?
Okay.
And I'm sorry about it. Go ahead, Jeff.
Just in the report, it mentions something about possibly could start a fire. And I actually did talk to Kelly about should we shut the unit down so that there's, until it's repaired. Because that was made.
That's a good point, Jeff. I will get that information and talk to him about that right away.
Okay, thank you.
Lynn, I don't have it in front of me. What is the total cost? Does anybody have that? Is it over 15,000?
Yeah, I understand where you're going with this, Chris, but wait until after executive session, would you?
Yep.
Please?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, our next meeting, I'm going to need a motion for this. Our next meeting is June 14th, speaking of graduation night. Of course, we typically keep the fourth Monday open in case we need a second meeting for the month. Looking at it, it will be June 28th for our next meeting. It's no conflicts with Chris or myself because he's got so many meetings to juggle with his other schools. So I would need a motion just that our next regular meeting will be on June 28th instead of the 14th.
I make a motion that our next meeting is June 28th.
Thank you, Jeff. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I mean, I could have said the 14th, but I don't think anybody'd be here. Okay, I do need an executive session. It will be for personnel and contracts. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Thank you, Billy. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll go in executive session at 7:09. I did want to advise you all, I haven't brought it up because it's one of those where I have to switch hats. I'm not a parent and I'm not a school board member right now. I work for the town PD. We do have a new SRO. She started on Tuesday. Amber is no longer there. She was with Angie all last week. She will be there Tuesday and Wednesday. And as of Wednesday, she's actually done with the PD. She's no longer going to be an officer with our office, with our department. But Angie is up there, Angie Schimmerhorn. And it's her name, neither name, first or last, is spelled anywhere near what I just said, but that's how she pronounces it. She's cool. She knows the job. She's done it in other schools. Extremely excited to be up there. And I think you girls, I don't know how long you've had to get to know her, but she's very good, very open. And I think you'll find, she knows. We had a long talk when she interviewed for it. She came in second to Amber last time when we hired for our first SRO, or for a replacement for John. And she came in second only because she's part-time certified. She's not a fully certified law enforcement officer. But we don't need a fully licensed officer to do the SRO position. She's very good. She's going to be taking classes online also. And I wish I could say stop in and see her. Unfortunately, we can't. I mean, maybe we could ask her to do a Zoom with us next meetings, just so you could meet her, or just at least see who she is. She is working with the PD full time. After school is out, she will become a patrol officer for the town. So you guys will see her out there then too. But as of Wednesday, Amber will no longer be SRO. She'll no longer be working for the town PD. So we'll have to go out to hire. But and she did say today that she's going to spend the next 2 days, her last 2 days at the school. So you guys will know. Okay. Now, going back to the agenda, if I could have a motion to approve the list of non-union, non-admin, and supervisor contracts for 22.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the contracts.
Okay. Any discussion? I'm sorry.
Are we approving them currently as is, or?
As is,
Yep.
because you had said their increase was already in there.
No, it does not reflect the increase, no.
Okay, so there would be 2% more?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Did you want to change your motion, Jeff?
Nope.
We need to, Jeff.
Any,
No, I don't want to change it.
Okay.
I make the motion to approve it with the 2% increase. How's that?
Okay, great, got it. Any discussion? Any discussion?
Getting late.
I know. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right. Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make
Linda,
a
real quick, did we approve the extracurricular in the first part? I can't. Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Billy made the motion. It was unanimous.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll also make a motion to adjourn.
Awesome, Billy. Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Bye.
I'll see y'all the end of next month. Bye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.